Assalamualaikum, dear students. How are you? As you know, dear students, we are reading a lesson titled We Are Not Afraid to Die If We Can All Be Together. In today's lesson, we will be discussing last para page 16. We'll be discussing from last para page 16. Now let's start. But a way walker rode out the storm, and by the morning of January 6, with the wind easing, I tried to get a reading on the sextant. Back in the chat room, I worked on wind speeds, changes of course, drift and current in an effort to calculate our position. The best I could determine was that we were somewhere in 1,50,000 kilometers of ocean looking for a 65-kilometer wide island. While I was thinking, Sue, moving painfully, joined me. The left side of her head was now very swollen, and her blackened eyes narrowed to slits. She gave me a card she had made. On the front side, she had drawn caricatures of Mary and me with the words, "Here are some funny people. Did they make you laugh? Did they make you laugh?" I laughed a lot as well. Inside was a message. "Oh, how I love you both." So this card is to say thank you and let's hope for the best. Somehow we had to make it. In this para, there are some words, difficult words. Let me give you meaning of these words. एक वर्ड है हमारे पास sextant. Sextant means an instrument with a graduated arc of 60 degrees for taking altitudes and navigation. Now second word is caricatures. Caricatures means picture of a person, or we can simply say cartoon. Let me explain this para. Dear students, the ship made it through the storm. That says the ship made it through the storm, and by the morning of January 6, the narrator tried to get a reading on the sextant. The narrator tried to get the reading on the sextant. He worked with wind speeds, drift and current, and calculated their position. The students, there were in 1,50,000 kilometers area of ocean, right? There were in right says that they were in 1,50,000 kilometers area of ocean, looking for a 65-kilometer wide island. They were looking for a 65-kilometer wide island, while the narrator was still thinking. His daughter Sue joined him, and she was in pain. That says that his daughter Sue joined him, and she was in pain. His daughter was in pain. बहुत दर्द था उसको. Then the left side of her head was swollen, and her vacant eyes had narrowed down to slits. She gave him a card which she had made herself. She gave a card to his father, and this is the card which she had made herself. On the front side of this card was a cartoon image of her parents with words. There are words written on that cartoon which were like this, written about them being funny people and how they made her laugh. On the inside of the card, she told them how she loved them both and how she loved them both and she thanked them. This made the narrator, the father, realize that they had to make it to the island. So that means this cord gives strength to the father. You give more strength to the father, and this cord make comfortable to the father, to the narrator, and he once again assured that they had to make it to the island. Now next para, I checked and rechecked my calculations. This is the text. And I checked and rechecked my calculations. We had lost our main compass and I was using a spear which had not been corrected for magnetic variation. I made an allowance for this and another estimate of the influence of the westerly currents which flow through this part of the Indian Ocean. About 2 p.m., I went on deck and asked Larry to steer a course of 185 degrees. If we were lucky, I told him with a conviction I did not feel he could expect to see the island at about 5 p.m. Then, with a heavy heart, with a heavy heart, I went below, climbed on my bunk, and amazingly dozed off. When I woke, it was 6 p.m. and growing dark. I knew we must have missed the island, and with the sail we had left, we could not hope to beat back into the westerly winds. At that moment, a tow sled had appeared. A tow sled had appeared by my bunk. Can I have a hug? Jonathan asked. She was right behind him. So let me explain some difficult words of this para. One word is tousled head. Its phrase tousled head means this arranged here of the narrator's son, that is Jonathan. Tousled head means disarranged here of the narrator's son Jonathan. Jonathan was actually the son of the narrator. Tousled here means has this word this phrase has been used for him, that is his hair was in a disarranged manner. So tousled head means disarranged hair of the narrator's son. Bunk means bed. Bunk, one word has been used in this para, that is bunk. Bunk means bed. Dozed off means went off to sleep. Let me explain this para. Dear students, the narrator rechecked his calculations. He checked and rechecked. He again checked and checked his calculations. They lost their main compass and were using the spear on which was not corrected for magnetic variations. They lost their main compass and were using the spear, one which was not corrected for magnetic variations. He estimated the influence of the westerly currents which flow through the Indian Ocean. Around 2 p.m., he went on deck and asked Larry to steer the wheel to 185 degrees. Around 2 p.m., he went on deck and asked Larry to steer the wheel to 185 degrees. He felt if they were lucky, they would see the island by 5 p.m. Then he went below and slept. He woke up around 6 p.m. and it was dark outside. He thought that they might have missed the island. That says that he thought that they had perhaps missed the island. He started worrying about how they would tackle the westerly wind more, as the ship was not capable to sail more. His son came and asked him for a hug. His daughter followed. Now text. Again new para. Why am I getting a hug now? I asked. Why am I getting a hug now? I asked because you are the best daddy in the world. You are the best daddy in the whole world, and the best captain, my son replied. Not today, John, I am afraid. Why? You must be, said Sue in a matter of fact voice. You found the island. What? I shouted. It is it is out there in front of us. The chorused as big as battleship. I rushed on the deck and gazed with relief as the stark outline of the Amsterdam. It was only a bleak piece of volcanic rock with little vegetation, the most beautiful island in the world. There are some words which I must explain you. Bleak. One word is bleak. It bleak means an area of land lacking vegetation. Bleak means an area of land lacking vegetation, or we can say this is bare नंगा है ये ज़मीन जो है नंगा है. दिस इज़ एन एरिया ऑफ लैंड लेकिंग वेजिटेशन, कोई वेजिटेशन इसमें नहीं है. Stark means sharply defined. Stark means sharply defined. Vegetation here means plants and trees. In area of land lacking vegetation, that means ना इसमें वो एरिया ज़मीन का वो टुकड़ा जिसमें न प्लांट्स हैं और न ट्रीज हैं. सो दिस इज कॉल्ड ब्लीक. एन एरिया ऑफ लैंड lacking plants and trees. Now stark is that is sharply defined. Let me explain this para. The narrator asked that why he was getting a hug. His son and his daughter hugged him. The narrator asked why he is getting a hug. His son replied that he was the best daddy in the world and also called him the best captain. उसके बच्चे ने उससे कहा कि ही वॉज द बेस्ट डैडी इन द वर्ल्ड, वर्ल्ड का वो सबसे अच्छा डैडी है. एंड ही कॉल्ड हिम एज द बेस्ट कैप्टन. आप तो बहुत अच्छे कैप्टन हो. द नरेटर रिप्लाइड दैट ही वॉज एप्रीड. She told him that they had found the island, which was as big as battleship. The narrator rushed to the deck and gave a sigh of relief. Right? They could see the complete outline of island Amsterdam. There was a bleak piece of volcanic rock in front of them. It had a little vegetation. It was the most beautiful island in the world. The last para. We this is last para. We anchored offshore for the night, and the next morning all 28 inhabitants of the island cheered as they helped us ashore. With land under my feet again, my thoughts were full of Larry and Harvey, cheerful and optimistic under the direct stress, and of Mary, who stayed at the wheel for all those crucial hours. Most of all, I thought of a 7-year-old girl who did not want us to worry about a head injury, which subsequently took 6 minor operations to remove a recurring blood clot between skin and the skull, and of a 6-year-old boy who was not afraid to die. Now there are some words in this para. Anchored. Anchored means a ship, moor a ship to the sea bottom. Offshore means at the shore. Cheered here means welcome. Optimistic means hopeful. So, anchored means moor a ship to the sea bottom. Ashore means on the shore of the land. Optimistic means hopeful and confident. Now let me explain this para. The They moored the ship. They moored the ship. Anchored means moor a ship to the sea bottom. They moored the ship at some distance from the shore, and the next morning 28 inhabitants of the Amsterdam island helped them to move on the shore of the island. Yes, as he felt the land again on his feet, he thought of his crewmen and his wife. He also thought of his 7-year-old daughter who was injured badly. She had to go through 6 minor operations to remove the bullet clot in her head. His son who never gave up and was not afraid to die. So this was all about today's lesson. होप आपने अंडरस्टैंड की होगी. आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया.